time for another fragrance review for an Art and Olfaction finalist in the independent category. And we have... Wow, you just killed something. Cendres by Les Abstraits. This fragrance is by a fellow YouTuber, Eugene, from You Smells Good. And Eugene teamed up with Antoine Lie, right? So Eugene has the house, Les Abstraits. He contracted with Antoine Lie and had him make a series of fragrances. And we have a dry down here, and we're going to do a fresh spray of Cendres. This is kind of a beefy, generous 2 ml spray that was smuggled south across the border from the land up north, Canada, or as my children call it, Candyland.
Candyland.
I don't know why, but ooh, get that fresh
smell
opening.
it.
That's beautiful. So yes, I believe Les Abstraits is based in Toronto, and these are lyrical narrative perfumes. The 3 that have been done, and Cendres means from ashes. So in that opening,
Does this remind you of Canadian Tuxedo?
ooh, by Perfume Head. Let me see.
Not really. Because I know that one had cumin and something else, but it had that freshness to it that
It had the the fresh
smells like I'd
spiciness,
wear
but
with that denim.
this- I can see that there's maybe like a feel, but I don't pick up the same notes.
Gotcha.
This is much fresher. This is a little more forward than that fragrance, but you get like that beautiful fresh opening, which I believe is like ashes and greenness,
I'm
right?
gonna
It's
say
a very-
white flowers or something. Maybe not. It does smell green, fresh as fresh ashes could be.
Yeah.
But there is something super bright to this.
Yeah, the opening is incredibly like evocative. It's emotional. It's a big
Dry down.
it's a big opening. We recently reviewed Ensalade by Marc-Antoine Barrois, which also has a very big green opening. And this, although different in composition, definitely has a kind of similar greenness to it, right? That kind of crisp, crunchy.
This smells like one of the
greenness.
Marc Antoines. Look at that glossy magazine or something.
Yeah, it has a little bit of like leatheriness to it. This is the fresh spray. I like it though. I get more green than I do ash, but I can see how you have almost like a raging fire, right? So this isn't like firewood that's been kiln dried and you touch it with a match and it goes up quickly. This is perhaps maybe a wildfire going across a kind of lush green forest.
And it's like a wildfire in the most fresh way.
Let's see what Eugene's website says. It says that Cendres symbolizes a newly invigorated self. I can smell the vigor, represented by a symphony of brisk woods, sumptuous florals, and animalic leather. I think that's
might be in the dry
definitely
down.
leather in the dry down. And it is an animalic, like that's almost like a black leather. Rising from the ashes of pain and loss, that goes on to say a new person emerges like a phoenix. So you were green, you were crisp, you come back, you get burned, and then you become a little more animalic. You become aggressive, you have a little personality change. Maybe you stand up for yourself a bit more. You're not as green metaphorically, right? inexperienced.
It's almost like a darker version of the Call Me.
Really?
That musky, fresh.
Wow. I really do get quite a lot of the opening.
I don't know.
Similar opening, but very different fragrance.
Very different.
Very
Yeah.
different.
I'm a fan of this one. I mean, not to say I'm not, a fan of the other ones as well, but this one seems wearable to me. It doesn't seem like just a cool story or just a cool concept. It seems actually useful and wearable and practical. That's what I'm looking for. It seems practical.
It's a green leather,
Yeah.
which is an unusual combination to think about if it were to occur in the world. But I think in perfumery, anything's possible, especially at the organ of Antoine Lie.
It's not exact. It's not at all like the green flannel one, but it's like a smoky green flannel, like what you'd almost like you'd wear it, and you'd be wearing this green flannel if you were at a campfire or something, and you have that fresh greens with the smoke. Wearing a flannel.
I like it. It's evocative. It changes quite a lot. There's almost something reminiscent of aldehydes in there, ever so slightly. I'm going to look off and see what the rest of the description says. So this is Eugene speaking now. It says, Cendres was inspired by the connection to wildlife, finding myself in nature among trees, flowing water, and animals. The harmony of nature, I learned, could be reflected within. He does like to meditate, from what I understand. Cendres starts off with a green herbal blast of violet leaf and fresh tuberose, cut with bracing galbanum and anise. The tuberose mellows into velvety, sensual lushness, settling on a bed of smoky, resinous birch tar and leather, with a judicious vegetation by Hyraceum.
Doesn't it have like a, because the name means from ambers, it almost has this minty, fresh amber.
From ashes? But there's an amber. I would call this kind of an ambery. It's a very green
It
fragrance.
says from ambers, the name.
No, that's from ashes.
I can't read. Well, I get from ambers too. Sorry.
It does smell a little bit like a vintage
I just changed the
ambery
own story in
fragrance.
my head.
There you go.
Do you get like this fresh, like mint type of?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that might be the violet and the galbanum and a little bit of licorice in the anise. It's an interesting effect.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
It's cool.
This is one that I will like to try on skin and see where it takes me in the course of the day, because even now the dry down is much mellower. This is a beautiful, smooth, it's supple. The leather is animalic, but it's still supple. You want to touch it and enjoy it.
Does this one remind you of Hyde? Was this the one?
No, that was a previous one that we reviewed. The Honey Vetiver fragrance reminded me of Hyde by Hiram Green. I think it's beautiful.
At least you got a lot of elixir to use. They gave you a
Absolutely.
fair sample. So.
Absolutely. If you're going to sneak something across the border, you might as well make it worth your while, right? We wish a lot of luck to Eugene and Antoine Lie and Cendres by Les Abstraits.